All right, so we're given two pieces of information. We're given an equation. We are also given the actual graph of the equation. And just to make this easier to see, I'm going to highlight the two axes. Wow, went off grid a little bit there. All right, so that is the graph of this parabola. So what do we know? We know from looking at this parabola that it has a vertex at +3, -1. So my vertex is +3, -1. Now look at this, because, where did my cool papers go? I lost control. Okay, so when I look at the vertex, was this in trinomial form, where it's just a group of, or three terms added or subtracted together, or was this in vertex form? This is in vertex form, because I got a chunk that's being squared, plus or minus a number. So you pull out that x term, and you change its sign, and then you have your k term. So I pulled out this and got a 3 and leave this one alone as a -1. So my vertex is screaming in my face either way. So remember, your vertex is where it changes direction. So I know what my vertex is. Do I know what my x-intercepts are? Yes, I do, because I have eyeballs and I can see where they hit the x-axis. So my x-intercepts are going to be at 2, 0, and again at 4, 0. So I know that just from looking at the picture. Well, now let's come back up here and see what I was supposed to do. If I'm looking for my x-intercepts, set it equal to 0. So change your y's into zeros. So what I'll have is an x minus 3 squared minus 1 is 0. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And then I'm in square root world. So I've got an x minus 3 is plus or minus 1. Don't ever forget your plus minus. And now I can add 3. So I get x equals 3 plus or minus 1. So 3 plus 1 is 4. 3 minus 1 is 2. So I subbed in a 0 for my y's, which is right here. And I did all the math to solve for x, and I got a 2 and a 4. So I know that from the picture, and I also know that from the math behind it. So what's another thing I need to find? I need to find my y-intercept. Well, looking at this, I know that my y-intercept is at 8. So it's already done. My y-intercept is at 8. So it's actually a 0, 8. And then how do I find that mathematically? I'm going to put a 0 in for x, and that'll let me solve for y, because y will still be sitting here. So I've got y equals 0 minus 3 squared plus 1. So that gives me negative 3 squared plus 1, which is not, oops, sorry, it's minus 1. I was going, holy cow, this is going wrong. Okay, those are minus 1s. Minus 1. Okay, minus 1s. So now I've got 9 minus 1, which is 8. So I subbed in a 0 for x, and it spit out an 8. So now I know my y-intercepts. What else do I need to know? I need to know my domain and my range. So looking at this, looking at the picture, how far left is this thing going to go? Well, it's going to go left forever. How far right is it going to go? It's going to go right forever. So your domain on this is going to be all real numbers. Now look at the equation. Do you see any variables in denominators? No. Do you see any variables in or under square roots or in special symbols or anything like that? No. It's just sitting there. So by default, you can say, okay, so then my domain is all real numbers. What is your range? So always go from bottom to top. For the love of all, go from bottom to top. So I'm coming up, 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 up. What's the very, very, very first y-coordinate I see? The very first y-coordinate is at -1, and I'll have y-coordinates for the rest of its life. So notice that refers to the y-coordinate on your vertex. All right, I am fairly bitter because I just taught you all for 10 more minutes, and I discovered that the stupid thing was paused. So I had already finished the fact, where is it increasing and decreasing? So if I look at this, and we're just going to cover this up here. Let's cover up with my mail. Okay, so if I look at from here to here, this arm is coming down. So it's decreasing, but remember you're telling me width. So it's dropping down from negative infinity until it hits my y coordinate at 3. So it's decreasing from negative infinity to 3. And then it's going to be increasing from that same point. So from here for the rest of its life, it's going up. So from 3 on, it's going up. So it's increasing from 3 to positive infinity. So let's do another one that I already did, but stupid computer. Okay, so what I have now is just more practice. So I'm going to find the vertex first. So looking at my coordinate plane, there's the y-axis, and there's the x-axis, just so you can see a little bit better. And I want to know what the vertex is first. Well, I already know what the vertex is. The vertex is sitting right there in my face. It's at a negative 2, 3. So my vertex is negative 2, 3. So look at your original format. This is in vertex form. You've got a chunk squared plus or minus a number. So your vertex is screaming in your face. Pull that x out, or the x coordinate of your vertex out, and change its sign. Because really what that means is you shifted it to the left 2. So you're saying take that vertex and move it to the left 2. And then what did you do? You moved it up 3 units. Okay, the negative flipped it, and then you stretched it by a factor of 3. So those are the things that you've done. So either way, if you didn't have a picture, if you do have a picture, whichever way, you've got your information. So what's your x-intercepts? Your x-intercept is going to be at negative 3 and at negative 1. So that's great, fine, and wonderful. I'm at negative 3 and at negative 1. Those are my two x-intercepts, but what if I don't have the picture? Then substitute, because your y-coordinate turns into a 0, substitute a 0 in for y. So what I have is a negative 3, x plus 2 squared plus 3, and I want that to equal 0. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Just start knocking stuff off. I'm trying to get to the x. So get rid of that 3. So x minus 2 squared is negative 3. Now I can divide both sides by negative 3. So I've got x plus 2 squared is 1. Square root both sides. Do not forget your plus minus. So x plus 2 is plus or minus 1. Now subtract 2. So I get x equals negative 2 plus or minus 1. So negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. So what's your y-intercept? My y-intercept appears to be somewhere in there. Negative 9, negative 10, negative 11, somewhere in there, but I'm not quite sure. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to find the y-intercept and then just verify that it lines up with what we think it should be. So again, if I wanted the x-intercepts, I killed off y. So if I want the y-intercepts, I'm going to kill off x. So now I have y equals, I forgot my negative 3. Negative 3, 0 plus 2 squared plus 3. So I've got negative 3 times 2 squared plus 3. So negative 3 times 4 is negative 12 plus 3, which is negative 9. So I shoved in a 0 for x, and he plopped out a negative 9, which we thought it was right there, but the picture was kind of messed up, so we wanted to verify. All right, so now we've got domain and range. Look back up here. Do you see any variables in denominators? Do you see any variables under even roots? No. What is your domain? Your domain is going to be all real numbers. And again, how far left is this thing going to go? I know I'm like drawing down, and you're like, why is she drawing down if we're talking about left? Because this thing is going to get wider towards the left for its entire life. This thing is going to get wider towards the right for its entire life. So it's going to go forever left, forever right. What is your range? Your range is going to be, well, where your y values start. They've already started. So they start in negative infinity, and then they're going to peak out at where? Positive 3. And so going back to the notes that we have, if it's upside down, it's going to be from negative infinity, and it's going to cap off at your vertex. You just got to tell me what the y-coordinate of your vertex is. So now we need to know when is it increasing and decreasing. Where is my male? Okay, so where is it increasing? You can see its little arm going up, 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 until it hits right there. So remember, you're telling me width. So it's going to be increasing from negative infinity to negative 2. And it's going to be decreasing from negative 2 to positive infinity. So from everything here until I hit negative 2, it's going up. And then from everything from here over, from negative 2 on, it's going down. All right, so let's go find another, hang on, I've lost control. Let's go find another example because I got mad a while ago and X'd out of everything. Okay, so we have, see, look, I already did that one. We have, hold on. Okay, ignore that. Okay, so what we have is, given the quadratic function, I've got x squared minus 12x plus 32. Okay, and I want to know the vertex. I want to know the axis of symmetry, which I completely forgot to tell you. I want to know domain and range. I want to know increasing and decreasing. That's what I want to know. All right, so looking at this, I have this example right here. So first thing I want to know is, what is my vertex? So going back to my little notes over here, is this in trinomial form or is this in vertex form? Well, we're in trinomial form. I've got terms being added and subtracted together and no chunk being squared. So what's my formula? Do a negative b over 2a. So my vertex is going to be negative b over 2a, which is going to be negative negative 12, which is 12 over 2 times 1, which is going to be 6. Okay, so I just found out that the x coordinate of my vertex is a 6. So now I need to know what the y coordinate of my vertex is. Well, looking back here, I have found the x coordinate. If you ever want to know y, shove it into the original function. So I'm going to take what I just found and evaluate it in the original function. So I just found 6, shove it back up into here. So I get a 6 squared minus 12 times 6 plus 32. So I get 36 minus 72 plus 32. And so 36 minus 72 is a negative 36. Negative 36 plus 32 is a negative 4. So I find out that my vertex is at 6, negative 4. Okay, so do we know if it opens up or down? Well, it opens in an upwards manner because it leads off positive. So my basic little picture here is 6, negative 4, and it opens positive. Okay, so it opens upwards. So what's your axis of symmetry? Basically what it's asking is, where do I fold this thing in order for its arms to lay on itself? So if you look at it, if I fold it right there with a vertical line slicing through the vertex, or a vertical line slicing through 6, okay, because this is 6, negative 4. So if that vertical line slices through 6, that's going to be your axis of symmetry. That's where you would fold it for its arms to lay on top of each other. So it's literally just x equals your x coordinate of your vertex. So what's your domain and range? Your domain is all real numbers. What's your range? Where does your range begin? Your range is going to start at negative 4. So we're going to do all real numbers. And then it's going to go from negative 4 up for the rest of its life. So from negative 4 up for the rest of its life. When is it increasing? Well, it's coming down right now, and it's going to start increasing from 6 for the rest of its life. When is it decreasing? It's decreasing right now, so it's decreasing from negative infinity until it hits 6. Okay, so we'll come back with a final video and finish up some more examples.